welcome everyone to the Game Vault Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight are Jenny Aquino and Mark Myers. Tonight we'll be discussing our favorite and least favorite water levels, and we'll be reviewing our Retro Roulette game, The Legend of Zelda, for the Nintendo Entertainment System. But before we get to all of that, what have you guys been playing? Jenny?
Yeah. So, I have been playing, of course, Dead by Daylight. I finally got to experience the new Resident Evil map. Apparently it has been made so rare because of all the bugs that you have a better chance of winning the lottery, so they say, than getting that map. So I just want to say I should probably be playing the lottery right now.
Yeah, you should.
But it was really, really cool. Anyone that was super into Resident Evil would very much appreciate this map. It's very accurate. I was walking into rooms and I expected to get lost because it is a huge map. But I recognized everything. Like, I didn't remember where everything was necessarily right off the bat, but walking through, I'm like, oh my God, that's the office with like the taxidermy animals. And that's where the helicopter crashed. And that's like the back ladder or whatever. So I was all about it. I was very excited. But nothing super new to report on that front. You know, it's going. There's the anniversary event. They extended it, I believe. So still a lot of extra blood points for those of you out there that like DBD. It's a good time to play if you haven't, just to get, you know, more blood points, level up characters maybe that you've been struggling with. I know, Mark, we played on stream for our channel together, and you were able to dump quite a bit of blood points into your character, right?
Yeah. If I didn't need to be rushed off at the end there, I would have shown you that I can become a 3rd level prestige.
Oh, that was our ultimate goal, too.
Yep, to be a level 20, 3-level prestige.
I love it. But yeah, that's what's going on there currently. Phasmo is going through an interesting time where they're announcing some gigantic upcoming changes that they're working on. Nothing has happened really yet. Very minor little baby updates. But they're considering revamping the objectives, all of the equipment. Like they're basically teasing that some big changes are coming to Phasmo.
Oh, good. They're going to make it fun.
I knew you were going to say that. More fun, I think you meant. I think some of it has to do with the fact that there's a new game in town called Ghost Hunter Corp. And it, on first glance, looks like a carbon copy of Phasmophobia down to the font that they used in the name. Although watching gameplay now, it's not exactly the same. There are very many parallels, but this one it's kind of like Ghostbusters and Phasmo put together because you actually exorcise the ghost in the end.
So you have an offensive ability.
Yes. Yes. So you have ways to repel the ghosts. You have holy water, which Phasmo doesn't have. There is salt, which Phasmo has. There's like what's it called? I can't think of the word now. There's all kinds of tools that you do have in Phasmo, like the video cameras and stuff like that. I believe a camera can be used offensively. I haven't seen a ton of gameplay, but I'm pretty sure taking pictures of, I don't know if it's certain kinds of ghosts, it like makes it go away to protect you. They have like holy statues. You actually have to read a Bible passage to exorcise the ghost at one point. Like, this game gets deep into it.
It sounds like it.
I don't know. It seems like too much. Like, it's.
I was going to say, did you try it?
Not yet. It just came out today, I believe, in early release, so I haven't played it yet. I'm definitely going to try it because I have to. But I don't. It seems very complicated. Like, there's a ton of things to do, and I don't know, as someone looking in at Phasmo, if Phasmo seems complicated. But this, even if that did, like, this is like 4 times more complicated, it appears, than Phasmo is, because you have to figure out the kind of ghost, you have to find where it is in the house, which is the same. But then you have to I feel like you have to do a ton of objectives, like not just like 3 or 4, which are optional in Phasmo. You have to do so many things, and then you can exorcise it. And then the ghost can chase you out of the house and into your van and kill you. Which is insane and very scary. Like, what? Your outside was like the safe space for everyone to recoup. So right. It's going to be interesting. I will play it, I promise. But
it's like when Mr. X could blast through the save room.
Right, exactly. It's not okay. But yeah, I think maybe Phasmo, the dev, I know he officially hired at least another developer, or he's working on it, because he was the only actual dev. I feel like this game might be pushing them to come up with some new changes. I can't confirm, obviously. That's just my opinion.
I mean, competition is the best way to drive innovation.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. So, I don't know. I want this new game to be cool. I want it to be like very, very different than Phasmo. It's a little bit offensive. It seems so similar because I'm so, you know how I am. I'm very loyal to Phasmo.
Mhm.
But if it's different enough, then I don't have a problem playing both. I think it's cool. So we'll see. But yeah, other than that, obviously we play Apex on Wednesdays, so just a sprinkling of Apex in my life. I started playing Majora's Mask yesterday.
Oh.
On my lovely new N64 that's hooked up. Not new, old but new hookup. Thanks, Tom, helping me out with that.
No problem.
So that was fun and frustrating all at the same time because it's, you know how that game is. It's timed with a moon trying to murder everybody, so that's fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about time-based games at some point.
Oh God, yeah. It's so stressful, and then the moon is so creepy. It's just not. I think I beat it. I know that the timer technically is hours in that world, but I think I had 3 minutes to spare.
Oof.
And Dan said it was the closest playthrough of the first run through before you go back in time. It was the closest playthrough he's seen to failing. Something like that. It's like, well, thanks. Great. I think I wasted like 2 of the 3 days because I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, so that was fun though. I've been having fun with that. And then the Retro Roulette game. So I haven't really trying to think. I don't think I've played anything else. I haven't really had time again with all the weekend plans that we have now. So
yeah, this is where I jump in on the bit and go, so you played one good Zelda and one bad Zelda?
And stick around for the end of the podcast when we reveal which is which.
Yep. That's called a teaser.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, how about you?
Yeah, so I know last time I was on here, I said for my vacation I was going to try and play as many Game Pass games, download them and play them as possible. Then I started Yakuza Like a Dragon. And all those plans went to the wayside because those games are ridiculously addictive. And Ichiban is my new big dumb best friend. He is so adorably dumb, and it is amazing. I don't know if it's because Kiryu and the people from the 0 through 6 were a lot more serious and not as like they were more intelligent. I don't want to say he's stupid, but
I mean,
he's
kind of dumb. You could say it.
It just takes him a while to get things, and it doesn't really get through his head. He's like still a child in the most part, which explains why it's like a turn-based game, because he thinks he's in Dragon Quest, which they actually say Dragon Quest, Tom, in the game. But yeah, that game's real fun. I haven't gotten to the point where you start your business, because in every Yakuza you do a business, like Vincent Adult Man. I think this one is real estate. The last one you ran you might like the hostess clubs, right? They're called hostess clubs, right? Where you pay to have the girls sit and drink with you.
Yeah.
Okay. That was in 0. I think this one will be a little different. So I haven't gotten to that yet, but it's so good. The 2 characters I have are such contradictions to him. One's an ex-cop, one's an ex-nurse that it was homeless, and they it's so good. I'm just trying not to spoil things for people, but yeah, and the fact that Ichiban might be the youngest person at 42 years old in your party, they kind of make reference to that all the time.
Everybody's old as shit.
Yeah. Like, why are we doing this? I'm too old. So yeah, that game's real great. I think I'm in like chapter 4 or 5 at this point. I snuck and found a kart racing game, which is essentially Mario Kart, down to the power-ups and all, in the game. And I say snuck to it because you have to go through a high-level area to get to it, because you're supposed to get it later in the game. But I snuck by all the bad guys and got to it.
Being sneaky to get that stuff, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you don't. I could have waited 4 more hours as I leveled up, but the first person I accidentally ran into there was level 38, and I was only 11. So yeah, kart racing's fun. I didn't want to sneak back and do it again because it took way too long to sneak by all the groups of people. Because how they handle random encounters is sort of like in the other Yakuzas where people would just come up and you just start fighting them.
Right.
Well, they run up like a random encounter and it's like fighting, and then it, breaks it down. So you have to avoid the groups, and they have vision cones and stuff like that.
So it's like a mixture of a JRPG and
Metal Gear Solid.
Like Metal Gear, right?
So yeah, I highly recommend that game if you like Yakuza, and if you didn't like the action-based Yakuza but like turn-based RPGs and stuff, you'll really enjoy this. It's got the same wackiness as those games, but in a probably a battle system that you would enjoy better. I feel you would love this game, Tom. And the other thing I played is thanks to Jenny for her lovely gift for my birthday. I was able to purchase 2 games, Disco Elysium, and the game I played more of, which was PC Building Simulator. Yeah, I played that game for like 5 straight hours and just kept doing the jobs, because they start you off, your first job is like running a virus scan and, clearing out the dust. And then you put that back. And then the next day it's another thing like, and then it becomes, hey, I want my CPU changed. And then you got to remember to put the thermal paste on and do, And then you have the option of you can like give them a little more than what they're asking for, and they give you star ratings and stuff. It's a simulator, so it's things like that. But the one fun thing is it's helping me learn, parts and stuff, that it's not always like the highest number. Like if something says 1080, that doesn't mean it's the better card than something that says 960. I don't. That's how old this is. The cards only go up to 1,000.
Well, I mean it doesn't change. Luckily, computer building doesn't change all that much. Yeah.
But that thing, like I was buying like these extra 1060s and going, for the GPUs and going, I'll have these in the back burner. And then I went to put them in someone that wanted to upgrade from like a 9 something, and the menu for checking off upgraded GPU did not check, and I'm like, what? It's a higher number. And then here you have to go to the, you buy this one thing that lets you check up the performance of parts, and it has all the parts listed and the scores. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is really deep. But yeah, I think you would enjoy it, Tom. But you also do a lot of real computer stuff, so
that's the problem. Is well, I mean, I might pick it up just because it's cheaper than actually building 600 computers.
I hope you scratch the itch.
It gives you a little bit of the scratching of the itch.
Or does it make it worse?
See, I don't know. I haven't played it. So
that's true. We should test it.
The one good thing is that it doesn't go down to the nitty gritty in terms of like wiring. Like you basically just drag a wire and it tells you where it goes. Mm-hmm. You don't have to figure that out. Like I'll have to ask you when I put the power supply in that I bought. Mm-hmm. It's just you click it and it highlights. And it's sort of like, I guess that's where that goes. Because I don't think you can zoom in close enough to see which one is the positive and negative,
that's nice that they don't ticky-tacky with the front panel connectors, because in real life they're annoying as it is. So trying to do it on a computer game.
The fun thing, and this is the last game I played outside of our Retro Roulette and the stuff we've been playing. The cool thing is that you can take apart the computer just like you can take apart like dust panels and all that. And when you put new GPUs in, you got to make sure there's space for the back. If it's a double one or a single one, and then you got to, if you're going from a double to a single, you have to put the slot back in. But yeah, it's like all that little stuff like that they didn't have to do, that they make you do, which is fun. And then the last thing I did right before I ended the game, my long marathon session, was someone says, I want you to build me a computer for under $800. And then,
see, that's the fun part.
You go through the chart and you got to match it up. You can use your used parts that you take out of the computers to save money, and you can buy new parts. Yeah, and there's shipping involved. Like you can do 3 to 5 day shipping or overnight or same day. And it costs you money.
I would not want to ship a computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be terrifying.
No, it's the parts, not the computer.
Oh, do they upcharge you for the GPUs?
Not yet.
I want to know how realistic this is.
I don't think I'm that realistic yet, but yeah, it's $100 for same day shipping. So I think that's a little over. But I think it's to like teach you to, because sometimes they give you 9 days to do a computer,
and
it's kind of it's kind of teaching you not a full computer. Like, hey, I only need this back in like 10 days. Do what you can and then just send it back to me. And it teaches you that you can order parts for that specific computer, put it on the 3 to 5 business day shipping, pay $10 instead of $100, and save money that way as you build up. Because I think you eventually build, it's kind of like American Truck Simulator, where the part of the game I never engage with is building your own trucking company. Mm-hmm. In this, you're building to get the equity to buy out your uncle.
Whose shop it is.
Yeah, whose shop it is. And
I would love to do this as a job, but
yeah,
I don't think
he just runs out on you, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry, here's the business. It's in debt, but have fun." It's essentially how the game begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to rename the shop after you own 25% of it, and then he runs off to work for like an esports team. And he's like, "I have no idea what this esports thing is, but they pay a lot of money." He kind of seems like an asshole.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it is kind of fun, so, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into Yakuza and actually digging into some, Disco Elysium and, other Game Pass games once I get past that. So that's what I've been playing.
Sounds good. I've also been playing the usual. I've been playing some more of the show. The game is really addicting. It's really scary how addicting the game is. It's stupid. It makes no sense. The game is so frustrating, but it's like a mobile game. It just makes you want to keep coming back to it. Because you keep progressing, even if you do bad, you still progress. So
you keep seeing the numbers go up.
That's right. That little number goes up and it dings something in your head saying, "Yeah, you need to keep playing." So it's it's annoying and fun at the same time. Also continuing my playthrough of Intermission. I got through chapter 3, I think.
Yeah.
I did the whole bombing raid. I saw Aerith for the first time and Sephiroth, and it's amazing how much more things make sense the third time you play through it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to getting later on in the story so I can really understand what actually happened, because people still don't really know. We won't know until we see part 2.
I think the second game will reveal not everything, but it'll at least let you know what direction they're going in, because the third or fourth games are going to be the finale. So
I agree. I mean, I think once they get going on the second game, then we'll actually have a clue of what to expect going forward. But I love the original game, and this game to me is right up there too. I wouldn't say it's as good. It's not it's not the game I would pick up first. I would pick up the original still first, but it's up there.
I may disagree with you there.
Well,
just from the sheer fact of and this is the argument that I got in with Ant over Legend of Zelda, so I am ready to have it again. I don't think people can pick up that combat system if you're talking about younger people in the original game. It would turn them off of it. They need to be eased into it. If you give them a story and then you can go, hey, you like this you can get the full story if you play this game. But if you start them off with menus and stuff like that, it's the ADHD of a generation.
I know, but it's a different kind of game. I mean, if someone specifically said to me, "Hey, I want to experience a Japanese RPG," I would say, "Okay, well, go play Suikoden or go play Final Fantasy VII, or 6." Like, I would tell them to do. But if they said that, oh, I want to play a game that's fast paced and it's got some action and it's got a good story, then I'd send them to the remake. But
I think I come more from, I might have misinterpreted what you were thinking, but like if like somebody came around and was like, oh, I want to try this remake out, you know, to me it sounds like you were saying, no, you have to play the original.
Oh no,
first.
No.
That's what I thought you were saying.
I'm saying I myself would pick up the original first if like I had the choice.
Okay.
If I was going to go play a game, I would probably pick up the original first before I would go to the remake.
Okay.
But that's just me because it's like comfort food. The original game is like comfort food to me. Like if I just need something to play, and I always have like a casual playthrough in progress in that game.
Yeah, it's like anything. Yeah. But yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah, it's just maybe it's just me kind of being allergic's probably the wrong word, but something similar to when people are always like the pushing that no, you can't enjoy the new thing because you have to play the old thing first. Sort of.
I don't have any
thing.
I don't have any problem with people not wanting to play the original. That's fine.
Yeah.
To each their own. I wish they would. Like that's one of the reasons I wanted Jen to play at least up to where she played before the remake came out, so she could understand the story a little bit at least. But I'm not going to tell people not to play. You can't play the remake before you play the original.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's different because I mean Zelda and A Link to the Past are two different games. They're not the same game.
As we will discuss later.
Right. As Remake and Final Fantasy VII are essentially the same game. It's the same story beats essentially.
Yeah.
In the beginning at least. So yeah, it's to each their own. If you want to play the original, play the original. If you want to play the remake, play the remake. And by the way, I still can't get over how good it looks on the PS5.
Oh, it looks amazing.
It's so good. And it plays so well, and it's so fast. I don't have to sit and wait for it to load if I want to change chapters. Oh, so nice. And I'm so happy that we got PS5s. Because I would be like kicking myself right now if I was trying to get one now or when the game came out.
Yeah, that was the best decision we made. And we had discussed, just real quick tangent. I saw we were discussing this, Tom, the deal that it is the paying the monthly for Series S.
Mm-hmm.
And besides the fact that you have to wait until it's in stock at a real retailer to get it, which I didn't know about. But so I still have to wait a little bit. But as much as we said not getting the thing, I think for the Xbox in general, if you're giving me, I pay $25 a month and get it, that's fine. I don't think I would put out a $300 or whatever up front without knowing if Game Pass was any good. I know that sounds weird, but I think I feel better paying the monthly.
Yeah.
Than being out of it all at once. That's probably a bad way of looking at it and how you get in debt really easily. Because it's like, ooh, smaller amount.
Yeah. But you're paying for the console and Game Pass. It's not like you were going to get them either way, and it just happens to be all in one place at this point. Yeah, and I think honestly, if you have no interest in purchasing games and you're okay with the games not being 4K all the time or whatever, that's definitely the way to go, is to get the all access Series S.
Yeah.
Because Game Pass has so much stuff.
Yeah.
And everything that they announced recently is going to be day one. So I can't express enough how crazy that is.
Yeah. And also, I was going back and forth. I might wait a little bit still, but I'm probably definitely going to get one soon. Sooner rather than later, just for the fact that I realize there might be games on Game Pass that don't come to Game Pass PC, that I would want to play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if I can get a real cheap option to do that, I can. But I hope in the future, all the upgrades, when they're bringing things from PS4 and Xbox One to these new systems, that they are as good as the remake was, because that was pretty spectacular. And it completely blew Nintendo's bringing up from the Wii U to the Switch out of the water.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's just like, oh, I get it. I'm just waiting for that Death Stranding director's cut, which, I'm sorry, director's plus. as Kojima Sensei said to call it.
I think it's going to be. I think once like we get the next gen remakes, everything running at 60 FPS, 4K.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, that's enough. That's enough rambling. Enough rambling about Final Fantasy VII yet again. A lot of stuff has happened since the last episode, and Jen is going to tell us all about it.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I figured I'd start with a fun one. So there's been a new record set for a single video game being sold. So earlier this month, a copy of The Legend of Zelda, which applies to today, sold for $870,000, which did set the record for the most expensive single video game sale. Then 2 days later, an anonymous bidder broke that record and set a new one by far. They purchased a Super Mario 64. The final bid was $1.3 million with a 20% buyer's premium. So the final price was $1.5 million.
Like just hearing these numbers is making me sick to my stomach.
Oh, yeah. It was an original copy of the game. It was rated a 9.8, so practically perfect. It was sealed in its original packaging with the plastic and in a security case.
Right. So we also
how it was not absolutely perfect, I don't know. But
well, we also have to be specific. These are like specific prints of the game that are very rare. That's why they're going for so much money.
Yeah.
Normal games like this can go for a decent amount of money, but nothing will ever come close to this.
Yeah.
But people make a big deal out of it, like, oh, I'm gonna go sell all my games now, and I'm thinking to myself, you're gonna get $0 for a lot of that. So
yeah, the crazy thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say the Mario 64 thing. Yeah, forgive me, I was distracted checking up on something. That was what you mentioned, right? The one that went for $1 million.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know two things went this week, as you had mentioned. There's a feeling in my head that there's something a little off about that. Like, it feels like somebody bid that up in the sake of bringing slightly less graded games, like a 9.6 or 7, and getting like triple what they would get for it. Because I think I heard somewhere that a 9.5 or something like 3 months ago went for like $40,000, like something ridiculously low, and now all of a sudden this one, goes for over $1 million. I don't know. In my head, it feels like it's two crypto boys just daring each other to bid this up.
I'm sure it's something similar. It's at this point, it's all hype, right?
Yeah.
It'll die down. It'll go away, just like everything else.
Right.
But the problem is it won't go away until like life kind of goes back to normal. It's kind of getting there, but like I feel like once GPU prices go down and like the chip shortage stops, people won't give a shit anymore. They'll go back to not caring about retro games. Because people are like, oh, it's an investment. It's not an investment. It's a piece of silicon, a piece of silicon with chips on it. No, it's nothing special. And we've talked about it a million times. Like emulation just like kills the value of these things and modern re-releases. Like it's just really weird to me that this whole grading thing is the whole thing's a scam. At least to me, that's what it feels like. Because I'm sure you have to pay an astronomical amount to get it graded in the first place, and then you have to worry about seller fees and everything else. And sometimes you probably don't even make any money off of it because. I saw somebody trying to sell Call of Duty Ghosts for like the PC for $900 graded. What? And I'm thinking to myself, that's the worst Call of Duty game in the last 20 years. And you're trying to sell it for $1,000. No one is purchasing that. I don't care.
A little crazy.
No,
I was hoping to go to too many games and bring my copy of NCAA Basketball 10 before a new game gets announced and see if I could trade it for a Saturn.
Well, you see, that's different. They don't make those games anymore.
Yeah.
And people want them. It's not like Super Mario 64. They made a bajillion copies of it. There's no reason for it to be that much money.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty, for that matter.
It's the slightly younger generation than us getting way too much money because of their knowledge of computers, and now want to buy their childhood back.
Well, that's what I did.
But you did it reasonably.
Yeah.
You didn't just go to an auction and spend $1.5 million on a game you can't open.
Right.
That's the other dumb thing. Like, no one's ever going to pay that much again.
Mm-hmm. Most likely not. I hope not. I mean, someone had the nerve to ask because it was Heritage Auctions that facilitated it. Yeah. And someone asked them if they had spoken to the person that purchased it and asked them if they were going to play it. And the person from the auction was like, I can tell you absolutely not. They're not going to open it. Like, They just spent $1.5 million. They're not opening this game. What kind of question is that?
That would sound like somebody that was trying to scam that person and didn't put Mario 64 in the box would say.
Yeah, right? Like, so did you check to make sure it's in there, by the way? Oh, God. Yeah. But yeah, I can't. This game sold for like $60. And $1.5 million later, someone is the proud owner of this game.
Yeah, and there's not even any kind of special rarity or anything. Like those Mario 3 in-box sealed and all, like there's like slight differences in the box art and things like that make things more rare than others. Well, and this is just the normal, Mario 64 box and game. Like, there's nothing unique about it.
Have they said that? I thought it was a specific print of the game. I could be wrong.
I just thought because it was a 9.8 grade, that was the big thing. That it was almost perfect.
I don't think the grade was why it was so expensive. I think there was something else specific.
Oh, I hope so.
Not that I give a shit about it, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. Anyway.
Yes. So
enough old people yelling at clouds.
Yes. Although it is always entertaining to listen to it. I just thought that was a fun way to start out.
Shot out of a cannon, that's right.
Yeah, shot it right out of a cannon. So our next story talks about good old Netflix branching out, shooting themselves out of a cannon as well. Because they are trying to take a step ahead of their competition by offering video game streaming, which is interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So within the next year, basically, they are planning on adding video games as a new genre. So basically, you'll be scrolling through and be like horror movies, documentaries, anime, video games. They hired Mark Verdu to be its vice president of game development, and he'll be assisting the company with its overall gaming efforts while they roll this out. And he was previously the vice president of content at Facebook Reality Labs. So he was in charge of their virtual reality stuff that they were working on there. And he was also the senior vice president of EA Mobile.
So a track record of success.
Yes. Some background, not necessarily success, but
failing upwards. Love it.
I mean,
it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. I think
somebody always needs a scapegoat, Mark.
Aw, that's true. So yeah, I mean, there's like no details on it yet. It's coming, and everyone be excited about it. Basically,
the one quote that I heard that was interesting. I don't know if it's in your story, Jen, but that there was a positive comment given. I forget the exact words because I don't have it in front of me. Given by Tim Sweeney. Going, oh, this thing looks interesting, Netflix.
There was a rumor that Sony may have been a partner in it or something.
Yeah, that they want, and it very much seemed like Fortnite, like going, hey, Fortnite can play on this, sort of thing, and as a shot at Apple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to take shots at Apple, though, when it comes to games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be talking about it as we get more information on it and potentially see this roll out. I don't know if that means Netflix prices are going to go up. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. That is inevitable, right? So.
Well, they're going to go up anyway, but I imagine that it is going to be a separate charge or it'll be its own package.
Right.
and it won't be like
like an add-on or something.
Right. Like everyone won't have to pay for it.
Right. That would be silly if everyone had to. But yeah, so we'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it more within the next year until it comes out and afterwards.
I'm interested to see how it works because obviously you'll need a controller, and if you're like, I don't know, watching it on a TV on like a Roku, I don't know how you're going to play. So I'm interested to see if it's only if it only works on consoles or like a Chromecast or things like that. I'm interested to see.
It'd be funny if it works on Apple TV.
Yeah.
It could. It very well could.
Yeah.
Who knows?
See. That'll be the fun stuff we uncover as we find out more about it.
Yeah.
So to be continued, I guess. So moving on, we have a new Switch in our sights, finally.
Yeah, it's not the one we wanted, though.
No, it's not the one you want, sadly. So we're going to talk about just some basic stats on the new Switch and tell you what we feel about it, which we kind of just did. But so they finally announced they're coming out with a new Switch. It's called the Nintendo Switch OLED. It's
masterful naming.
Yes, very, very clear as to what its main draw is there. It's priced at $349, which is only $50 more than the current standard Switch. And it's coming out this year on August 8th. Oh my God, I'm reading the word October and I'm saying everything except the word October. October 8th, 2021. And you can currently pre-order it if you're interested. Like I said, its main draw is the 7-inch OLED display. So it is about, depending on which Switch you have, it's either 2 or 1 inch, or no, 2 or 3 inches bigger than the current Switch. So in case you don't know, OLED is designed basically to give you more vibrant colors and deeper blacks than a standard LCD would. But this Switch is still going to play at 720p, which is the same as the current Switch. So there's not going to be a finer level of detail that you would expect, the next Switch to have.
Yeah, I mean, they've come out and said the internals are basically the same.
They're exactly the same, yeah.
Like there's no difference in the internal. Even in the dock, the dock itself is also the same.
Yep.
They just added a Ethernet port.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
I mean, one feature I would be excited about is they're coming out with a wider adjustable kickstand, which is a lot more sturdy than the current one, because I snap that thing off like constantly. It's so irritating, the kickstand on the standard Switch.
I never use it.
I rarely use it now because of how annoying it is to me. But sometimes I want to stand up the Switch, like if I'm being lazy and like laying on my side, but I still want to play my Switch and look. I don't know, whatever. I've used it and I've snapped it off. So having a more sturdy kickstand, it should have been a feature that was built in the first place. But this one like spans almost the whole entire Switch, which is nice. And like as Tom just said, it has the same processor, RAM, and general specs as the current standard Switch, so we're not going to see performance improvement or load times. Like, that's the big draw to all these new consoles coming out right now is the performance and the load times, so that's lacking. The storage, though, is double the size of the standard Switch built-in storage, so it's going to be 64 gigabytes instead of 32.
You can put 2 games on it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally am a fan that they're coming out with a new color all over white. Not that I'm going to be getting this. I can say I will not be getting this, but I can appreciate, if you saw my setup, which you will eventually, I would appreciate the all over white coloring. I think that looks really nice. But standard's available too if you like the colorful connectors. But yeah, so I mean, overall, what are our thoughts on this, guys?
I mean, me and Tom also said we weren't getting PS5s, so.
Right, that's true.
I mean, I'm not going to get it. I might. The only thing I would think about getting is the new colorway for the Joy-Con. That's about it. That's only because I only have one set of Joy-Con. So, and I love white stuff. Like my PCs are all white. Like my keyboards are white. I have white controllers, so that's about the only thing I would think about getting, but what a waste of everybody's time this thing is.
Yeah.
Well, here's my theory. I think they've been trying to figure out a way to do like a Switch Pro, as we're calling it, you know. But Nintendo's so cheap that the thought to have to pay extra because of the chip shortage to be able to get that horsepower made them just go, why don't we put out what we have, which is the new screens?
Right.
You know, just to get something out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the shortage dies down in the next 6 months to a year, which I don't think is going to be the case, that we see the Switch Pro next year. But if you get to 2022 and beyond, they might as well just do Switch 2 and just do a whole new thing. It'll be 6-7 years at that point since the, Switch has been out or even in development. And you can just start from scratch. Hopefully it's a similar thing, to what they did with the dock and the handheld, instead of trying to go back to having a home system and a separate carry system with handheld.
Well, here's my main problem with it. It has no audience. The people who wanted a handheld Switch only bought the Switch Lite.
Mm-hmm.
This product is based on people wanting to play in handheld mode, but if you wanted to play in handheld mode, you already bought a Switch Lite.
Right.
You're not going to spend $350 more for this Switch.
The only market that they have, like true market, is the collector.
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
Someone who says, I need it in this all white color, like me, and I need it just because I need it because I have every other console, or that's my goal.
So, and the other thing is, you can buy the dock and the Joy-Con separately. You can buy all the new stuff, and you don't have to buy the new Switch, which again makes no sense.
Yeah, and the one thing Nintendo's banking on is what it's always done with their systems is when they've done the little upgrades, like going from DS, DSi, 3DS, 3DS XL, new 3DS, is that essentially what happens is somebody buys like the new thing that came out, the OLED. If let's say they had the Switch Lite and now they get this because it's a better screen, even though it's more expensive, they're going to hand that Switch Lite to a little brother, a younger, family member, maybe a friend or something, give their old system to them. And then that person's going to buy software and increase their sales there. And I can see them thinking that that's what they're going to do here with this. And Nintendo is rarely wrong with this. I think I think just the Wii U might have been their first failure in a long time, in terms of handheld or console itself. But yeah, I think that's exactly what they're thinking, is that if they get a certain percentage of the current base to upgrade, and that base hands off their old systems to other people, it doubles their software sales.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know this is literally just a collector's.
Right, and then that collector's not going to get rid of their original Switch, right?
Right.
And silly.
Yeah, but they're just counting on that because they're the only manufacturer that can do that. Because you don't buy you don't go buy the PS4 Pro and then give your little brother the PS4 because you both need to hook it up to a television. Right.
Well, but it's different though, because a Switch you can play.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I just feel like if you're gonna do that, buy them a Switch Lite. I don't know.
It's just the thing where that's what I'm not saying it's right or wrong, Tom. I'm just saying that's what Nintendo's banking on. Yeah, because that's what happened with the 3DS and the DS. Is they just did these small upgrades.
Like the 3DS, they did so many stupid. Yeah. And the DS too, but they did the 3DS. Then they did the 3DS. They had two different models of the 3DS, and then they did the 3DS XL. Mm-hmm. And then they did like 800 versions of the 3DS XL. Yeah. And then they did the new 3DS, and then they did the new 3DS XL. Jeez. So this is like it's like a TikTok thing. Like a tick is a minor upgrade, talk is a major upgrade, and they've now done two ticks. They need a talk.
Yes, they do.
Or boom.
Or boom.
You can go tick, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so I love Nintendo products, but this one just makes no sense to me, and I just hope that they have something big planned for next year.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious we're not getting a Switch Pro this year. That's not happening.
Nope.
So I'm just hoping that, because everybody, they don't even need to do a whole, like the handheld part doesn't need to be overhauled that much. It's if they put the DLSS technology into the dock, then they'll be fine. That's really all they need to worry about is the upscaling. But like the fact that AAA games won't even run on this right now, and it's going to then be streaming only, just is so dumb to me. But you know what? It's Nintendo does what Nintendo does.
This is a perfect example of that. So I guess let us know if you plan on buying it and why.
Yes.
Because we'd be interested to hear another opinion. Because we're pretty much on the same page about it.
I'm very interested to hear if anybody actually wants this thing for their stuff. I don't, and I like Nintendo stuff. I've purchased pretty much everything. I have a Wii U, and I purchased it new, so it's not like I don't buy weird Nintendo stuff. So let us know what you think of that.
Yeah. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to segue into the Switch killer.
Yeah, buddy.
So, Valve has announced they are releasing a handheld device called the Steam Deck. So this is going to be able to play, they say, any game in your Steam library. So it's basically aiming to be the Nintendo Switch for PC gaming, essentially.
Right, that's what it looks like.
Right. And the concept is it's not just a console, it's more of a portable PC. So you can plug it into a monitor or a TV, you can install apps and software on it. You could use it to watch streaming video. You could even install other game stores on it, supposedly.
They've said, I've heard Epic, but I haven't heard any other ones yet.
Yeah, we're still getting information on it, but it's going to be running on a new version of Steam OS, which is Valve's Linux-based operating system. Although you can play Windows games, and you can actually supposedly uninstall Steam OS and just install Windows. So,
that's a good thing, because in the past, Valve put out console-like computers previously. They were called Steam boxes, which only ran Steam OS, and they were not good. As you may know, they don't really exist anymore. If people listening to this going, "What's a Steam box?" Just look it up. There were it was one of those things where a bunch of companies were supposed to make them, and nobody did. Like 3 companies made them, and they weren't good, and they only ran Steam OS, which ended up being a terrible idea.
Yeah. So that was a boom, essentially.
This is kind of reminding me of that, and I'm hoping that Valve has learned from that.
Yeah.
The best thing they've ever made is the Steam Link, and in terms of making hardware. So I'm still on the fence. I hope it doesn't have the risk destroying issues that the Switch had, unless you buy the grip.
Well, this seems to have some girth under the it seems ergonomic. It's made by PC people. I would hope it's ergonomic.
Yeah. So I could just run through the stuff that we know so far, and we could pause and talk about anything that seems interesting or weird or whatever. Yeah. So they are expected to start delivering in December 21 of this year, but that does not mean that if you reserve one, you're going to get it this year. They have an expected order availability depending on the storage size that you wind up getting. So it goes well into 2022 at this point. And that's just, they just went up for pre-order, so that could continue to be extended.
Real quick, apparently it was a shit show.
Oh, it was a shit show. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, it's insane. But not surprising in this climate, right?
Yep,
pre-orders and stuff.
You would think Valve would have figured that out, though, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. So pricing is $399 for 64 gigs, $529 for 256 gigs, or $649 for 512 gigs. And then spec-wise, yes, go ahead.
So the 256 and 512 are NVMe storage, and the 64 is flash storage, so it's like a SD card, basically.
Right.
So the two more expensive ones are way faster than
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Does that mean also that the 64 one is easier to upgrade the memory than the other ones?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll all have expandability at least from what I can tell right now.
Yeah, I think I did read that you can still pop in an SD card, but going from super quick load times to an SD is going to feel really bad.
Yeah, well.
So it's going to have a 7-inch screen. It runs on an AMD APU. And this stuff I don't personally know a lot about. So Tom and Mark, if you guys want to jump in when I start saying these things, go right ahead and tell us how good they might be.
Okay.
So our CPU is a Zen 2 architecture, which is the same one found in AMD Ryzen 3000 processors.
Okay. And it's also what the newest consoles are based off of, the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles.
Yep. The GPU is the RDNA 2 architecture, and it comes with a total of 512 cores, which is not a massive amount, I was reading. So basically it's 8 compute units, like CUs, and the Xbox Series S, just as a comparison, comes with 20 RDNA 2 CUs.
Right,
but
so go ahead.
I was going to say it can put out 720p. Basically, but you're not going to get much better than that.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. So the Xbox Series S is built to run 4K, and that piece, the Steam Deck, is.
I'm going to be doing that too constantly.
Well, it didn't help that Elgato came out with the Stream Deck the same day.
Right.
But yeah, so having it only have to do 720p makes it a lot easier, and it doesn't need nearly as much power, which is why the Switch doesn't need a whole lot of power.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently they're. Keep going, because I'm sure I'm going to talk over what you have.
No, that's okay. I know I mentioned it was a 7-inch LCD touchscreen, so if you want to compare it to the new Switch coming out, it won't be as vivid of colors. So there's that. It is going to be still larger than the Switch, so it is almost 12 inches long by 4.5 inches wide, a little over 4.5 inches wide, and almost 2 inches thick. So it weighs about 1.5 pounds, I believe. So it'll be slightly heavier than the current standard Switch and a few inches larger and so forth. So it's going to be a pretty hefty little device there. But it looks nice. Like we were just saying, it does look, hopefully it feels ergonomic. Hopefully it's comfortable to use it, because, you're going to be able to plug it in to some kind of dock. This is my concern. They haven't said any details on the dock other than it's going to be sold separately, which kind of sucks. But
but it's
it's not surprising that they would do that either. I would definitely get one, though. I have to have that option. I can't just do handheld anymore, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Apologies if you mentioned this, but did they mention in the story, or have they yet, if the deck is going to be go to 4K?
They did not. They didn't say anything about the dock capabilities, as far as I saw.
They said it will have DisplayPort, but they didn't say, what version or any
Maybe
of that.
It's still being developed. I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be able to go up to 4K.
That would be nice.
That would make it the Switch killer, in terms of that, is if the dock is much better. But as our friend Jonathan said in our chat, it's not going to outright kill the Switch. It's fun to say that, because Nintendo is not going to legally put their games on this system.
Right.
Right, but it's PC gamers. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's all going to come down to, can a PC gamer, like those hardcore PC gamers, never go to console, actually go to console?
They will. If they want it enough.
Right.
If they want to play their games on the go, they'll do it.
Yeah. One thing that's kind of concerning to me about this is the battery life. They're expecting it to last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, depending on your game that you're playing, which kind of sucks. I don't think the Switch's battery life is amazing, but I mean, it's putting out 720p like we were talking about. Can you imagine if it was putting out any more? How much worse? 2 hours? I would like to get more than 2 hours of gameplay out of my console.
That's all the Switch gets you.
Yeah.
Usually about 3 to 4, depending on the game.
Right.
Yeah, if you're playing like a AAA game, like if you're playing Breath of the Wild, you'll get about 2 hours.
Oh yeah, it's so bad. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. So, I mean, that kind of stinks to me. That was like a little disappointing, but not surprising either, like we just said. So currently you can reserve it for $5 right now. I'm sure it's still going on.
Supposedly you can.
The old GameStop method.
Yeah, so I can confirm you can because I did.
Oh.
I did it, yeah.
And
the good thing about it is that you can cancel it whenever you want. So I might. You never know. Basically, I want to learn more about it, but I did want to reserve it and just see what the whole process was, because as we alluded to before, it was a total shit show today when it first went on pre-order. Their servers were immediately overwhelmed, and customers basically were faced with either timeouts or error messages, and people were being told that their account was too new, even though they've had it for years. Yeah, that was just like...
That was the big thing I was seeing, was that people were seeing that their account was too new, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
I don't know why that would even be a thing.
Right. Like, sorry, thanks for joining us, but you can't spend all that money with us yet. You have to wait. It's weird. I mean, they do have weird restrictions about sending people gift cards too, because when we did our giveaway on Twitch and we had some people win gift cards, because I wasn't friends with them on Steam already, I had to wait like 48 or 72 hours before I could even send them a gift card. So it's kind of doesn't surprise me that that's a thing either.
Well, that might be a anti-money laundering effort.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, there's a security thing going on there, but it didn't surprise me that, people are getting these weird messages about like the length of time that you've been a member. I think they were also saying that they were getting error messages saying like you've made too many purchases within the last few hours. Like just any, I guess, error message that could potentially pop up was popping up for people because the server was having a meltdown.
Yeah, the server was not doing well, because I went on just to see what was happening, and I couldn't even get on the Steam website.
What time was that? Do you know?
I want to say it was like 4 o'clock.
Oh wow, yeah. So I did mine around 5-ish, maybe 5:30.
Yeah.
So I guess it got its life together in the few hours after when I did it.
Yeah.
But what I did was I did the $5, and I did the 512 gig one.
Well, of course.
Yeah, because I mean, why not? And it'll have.
You're not gonna buy it, so sure.
Right. It'll have the fastest storage. It has like anti-glare glass. It has a case. I don't care about that. It has a bundle, which I don't care about. And it also has a virtual keyboard, which I don't care about. But I picked it because the most important thing to me is, the storage. So yeah, that's what I did. I did it. So we'll see as we continue to learn more about it and the whole docking system and everything else. We'll see if I change my mind. But yeah. What are your thoughts on the Switch killer here?
I mean, I'm interested to see if it's upgradable, number one, because that was a big problem with the Steam boxes, was they were not very easily upgradable. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see if this is going to just be, stuck as 16 gigs of RAM and whatever storage you get plus an SD card.
That would be absolutely terrible.
It doesn't look like you can upgrade it. Like, it looks like it's put together and not meant to be taken apart. Yeah. But you never know. It's a PC thing, and nobody has seen one in person yet. So it's also weird to me that it doesn't have a kickstand. I guess it's because the controller's built in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you don't have the reason to prop it up anywhere, essentially.
But I just wish they would get rid of those stupid touchpads. But the touchpads are there, I guess, to make it work with PC games that don't work with a controller. But they had them on the Steam controller, and no one ever used them. Ever. They were just a waste of space.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tom, prediction, how many years until you can buy this for $1 on Steam?
I'm going to give it 3 years, because that's what I did with my what's it called?
I got the Steam Link for $5.
I got the Steam Link for $5 too. They were literally giving them away.
Yeah.
And how much did the Steam Link start out as? Do you remember?
60?
60, okay. Yeah, something like that.
60, I think.
So if you do like figure out the math equivalent there, and we'll know the price of the Switch Killer in 3 years will be like $70 or something.
Yeah, but that's what always happens with everything but the Index or whatever their VR thing is that
it happened with the Steam controller was the same thing.
It was $1.
It was like $1. They were just
or
giving them
you
away.
got it for free with the link.
Yeah.
When they still had inventory.
That's painful to hear. That sucks.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, the last thing they put out didn't do that. You know, they haven't given away VR headsets yet.
Well, it's because it's a VR headset. It's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're actually there's very minimal assumptions that you might be able to run VR with the Stream.
I
Steam Deck.
I don't think it's going to be powerful enough.
They said it's not meant to, but they can see it being a possibility, which is kind of dangerous wording because
you don't want to put that. Don't put that out there because people are going to be like, "Hey, I want it to run."
Right, because that's the big thing right now. It's starting to get more traction VR. So you don't want people to be like, "Oh, that's an added bonus," and then be real pissed dropping $700 and finding out that it doesn't really work.
Yeah, like that's the problem with like Nintendo stuff. Like Nintendo doesn't tell you anything, and then people like get it in their head what this thing is going to do. Like with the Switch Pro stuff. Like people have been saying for months that this thing was going to come out, and then people are pissed that it didn't come out. Like you can't be pissed because they never said anything about it.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I hope it works. Mm-hmm. Because it will be just another option for people, especially people who, don't give a crap about Nintendo.
Right.
And I'm since it's a Linux-based operating system, this thing will become an emulation machine. Like all the like RetroPie and stuff like that, that's all Linux-based. So I can guarantee you once these things get cheaper, they will be like the number one retro gaming handheld that you could buy.
Yeah. So you might have to get it, Tom.
And eventually I might have to get it.
When it's $1. Go for it.
So, all right. So I'm looking at the back here of this dock, and it's DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.0. So that's capable of 4K, both of those things. So I'm guessing when it's plugged in, you could get a 4K resolution. Whether it will play in a 4K resolution is a total other story. But it will be able to produce a 4K resolution.
Mm-hmm. Cool. But yeah, we'll learn more about it, and then we'll learn if I keep my pre-order or not. Has every one of our stories for the most part has ended it that way. We'll see how it goes.
Well, that's just the way things are right now. Until there's stock of these things, it's just
Yep, it's ever evolving.
It's
interesting
just a
stuff.
crapshoot.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all I got. That's all she wrote.
That's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not excited about is water levels.
Don't you do that.
So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that Mark and I, and most normal people, really hate water levels in video games. But Jenny loves. I don't know why. We haven't been able to figure out why, but they're the worst. They're always the worst. Nothing ever works right in a water level, and it just is an exercise in frustration when you're trying to play a water level. And most people, if you are our age, know the water level that most people hate. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about it.
Yep.
But I figure we should start with our favorites, just so we're not super negative to start off.
There you go.
I have two favorites. I don't know how many you guys have, but I imagine they'll be overlapping because there's not too many good ones.
I have 3 favorites, 1 honorable mention, and only one that I decided I could really drag.
Okay.
So I don't know how you guys want to do it.
Mark, how about you go first with your favorites? And then we'll go around the circle.
I only have one off the top of my head that I really love. Not love, but I'm actually not bad at, and I don't mind the water levels in the NES Mario games. I'm actually not too bad at them.
You're a better person than me because I hate those with a passion.
Maybe because there's less platforms in it, and
Maybe.
that makes it easier for me.
Then you have those like flying penguin fish.
Yeah. But no, I don't mind them. I think we might have the same one we absolutely hate, so we'll get to that. And I'm going to say one that may not think of an actual water level because it's essentially the entire game, but I really like the Jaws game for NES.
Okay.
That game's real good, and it's an entire game of a water level. Of games that have water levels, that's probably the one I've played the most of. Considering that games like Ocarina and stuff like that, it's only one temple.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the entire game.
It's a level.
But yeah. So that was my weird one. That I do really love that Jaws game, and if that counts as a water level, then
sure, why not?
That's the one. But yeah. those are really the two I had.
Okay. Well, since Jen likes water levels, I'm gonna go next.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So the saving grace to water levels to me is generally good music.
Mm-hmm.
And the two favorites that I picked are pretty much only because they have good music. The first one is Jolly Roger Bay for Mario 64.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Mario 64 is not awful when it comes to swimming mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make you want to kill yourself trying to control and get coins and stuff. Like, there's not really any attacking that happens underwater in Mario 64, which is nice. It's way less common than other games like Sonic or things like that, but the music in Jolly Roger Bay is chef's kiss, so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those ones where I could just listen to it outside of playing the game. The other one is Coral Capers in Donkey Kong Country. Again, the music. Also, Donkey Kong Country somehow managed to get swimming right. And when they give you the swordfish, I forget what the swordfish's name is, but it makes controlling underwater 100 times easier. And it's not that difficult to get the swordfish to ride it. And it's kind of like having a star in Mario. It makes life way easier, and it doesn't make me want to pull my hair out when I'm playing a water level. But yeah, Donkey Kong Country, Mario 64. Those are the pinnacle of water levels for me.
Is it my turn?
Yes, Jen, go ahead.
So I totally agree with what you said. Music, the graphics and the music are my main draws for water levels because, like you said, a lot of times they're very difficult and frustrating, and the swimming mechanics are terrible, or you're having to worry about breath timers and stuff like that. So I'll name my top three, starting with my third and then go to my first.
Okay.
So my third is maybe kind of cheating a little bit. It's Subnautica the entire game.
I mean, it's a water level.
It's a water level game. Yeah.
I don't think that's cheating. That's fair.
It's especially, I'll say, the first few hours of gameplay, because I knew what I was getting into when I booted the game up, sort of, but it blew me away when it starts because there's just this super powerful sense of eeriness when you wake up in this. Basically, how it starts is you get into an escape pod, and this ship that you're on blows up. So you wake up in this escape pod. You have no idea what's going on in the game. You go outside and you just see that you're surrounded alone by water, and your ship is on fire, and it's just floating in the ocean. And you don't know where you are. You don't know what to do at all. Like, the game is just like, good luck. And you literally have to swim around and search for things and just figure out how to survive. And it's so powerfully, like, eerie and just beautiful and realistic. And the graphics are super realistic. The water is amazing. The music is incredible. Like, the sounds in this game are so immersive. It's so creepy and so awesome. Yeah. And I kind of think maybe I know you don't like water levels, but I feel like this is a different kind of water level where you have no choice but to be in it for the most part. And it's different. It's kind of like,
it's an exploration.
Yeah, it's an exploration and survival game. It's very cool. It's almost like a Minecraft style, because you do build stuff eventually.
Yeah.
It's puzzles. It's like Myst and Minecraft rolled up and then stuck underwater. But it's really super pretty, like Myst. It's so cool. I don't know how to explain it really, but it's
I'll have
so
to give it
great.
a shot. I think Subnautica's on Game Pass, so I might
It
have
is.
to check it out.
Yeah, I got it for free on Game Pass. I think. Pretty sure I did. And now they have Subnautica 2, which is like, I think, a frozen world. I forget the exact name of it, but I knew that I would be more interested in the underwater part, so I went with that one first. But it's just a really incredible game. So very unique, I think, personally. And again, very pretty. The music is so cool. So you should definitely, and it's alien life forms, so you don't know anything about it at all. You know, like you play a farming simulator, and if you're really into farming, you might know how to use some of this equipment that other people wouldn't. But like this game, it's just all fake, so you don't know how to use anything essentially.
Yeah, that definitely makes it interesting. Makes you have to try to learn how things work.
Yeah, it's very cool. So that was very quickly became one of my favorite water level / games. Then my next one, a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this because this is like the classic I effing hate that level. And that's the Ocarina of Time Water Temple. I love it. Maybe I like torturing myself. I don't know.
What is wrong with you?
So I think I decided, because I was trying to like list my feelings on this one, and I came to the conclusion that I like it because of how difficult it is, which is weird. This is my second favorite water level. The difficulty of this was it's difficult, but it didn't push me to want to stop playing. It actually made me more determined to keep trying to beat it, just like Bionic Commando, sort of. It's super complex where you have to switch from wearing the iron boots and not wearing them, and then raising and lowering the levels of the water to get to the different platforms and having to remember where everything is, because a lot of stuff looks very similar in the main chamber. And you have to start over sometimes. I just had so much fun with it. The music, again, I thought it was really cool. It's a little creepy too, because you're exploring, the temple. And I think it just looked really cool. Everything about it, I really enjoyed it. It was, like I said, it was difficult. It took me forever, but it was one of my favorite parts of Ocarina of Time was playing the water temple.
I know, that's fair. I mean, that's the whole point, is trying to figure out why we like this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I know a lot of people hate that level, like with a burning passion. So come at me. And then my favorite water level of all time was Jolly Roger Bay from Super Mario 64.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. And everything you said, I totally agree with. The music is the first thing. I remember when I was a kid and I played this game for the first time, the first thing that I loved about this level was the music. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. And then I love the beach and I love water and all that. I think it's gorgeous. So then looking at it, it looks really great too. So I was like, okay, this is going to be great. But yeah, this is by far my favorite water level in any game. It's complex enough too, where it's difficult. You have, the ship, you have different puzzles, you have the breath counter, which can get annoying. Like you said, the swimming mechanics are actually pretty smooth. Like it's not overall the most frustrating water level that you're going to come up against. And again, it looks so nice. Like everything about it, I just love it. It's one of those things that I've loved it for so long, like as a kid, that a lot of it I think is nostalgia for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still that's the first thing I go to when I pop the game in. Like I'll try to get there as soon as I possibly can, because it's my favorite level. So I know it's weird. I can't even explain why I like water levels so much. I really can't. I try.
I mean, personal. For the most part, they're kind of peaceful generally.
Typically.
In the after the 16-bit era, and when they were able to make them a 3D space, I feel like they were more of a peaceful journey, as opposed to, oh my god, I have to get out of the water before my character dies because I can't breathe.
Right.
But yeah.
I would say my honorable mention, that I won't go into details because it's the whole game. I was going to mention BioShock, but that's it. It's my honorable mention. Okay. The whole game is underwater, essentially.
That's fair.
Yeah. But that's it. Those are my top 3.
All right. Mark, what's your least favorite?
The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No hesitation.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it's really it's by far the worst water level I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
Do we all have the same? Because that was my answer.
I have another one, but we can talk about
mine was one of Jen's favorites, so we can.
Aw, Ocarina of Time?
Correct.
Let's talk about it.
Why don't you like it?
Yeah, it's okay if you don't.
I think one of the frustrating things, and maybe it was just I haven't played Ocarina in a while, but the one thing I remember from the control scheme of that is the fact of, now correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking of a different water part from that, but the fact of that you had to equip and unequip the boots, and go into like the menu each time to do that, if I remember correctly, the iron boots. Yeah, it's just, what I don't like about water levels, especially in that game, is that it's the controls haven't been perfected enough that it just feels like, how's the right word? I'm trying to do a word that's not a water pun. It just
floaty.
Yeah, it just doesn't work in Ocarina. I mean, some of the other water elements to games in the future, the way the water feels in when you need to swim around and stuff in in Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess and stuff like that, I have no ill will to those. But I think it's just a combination of early 3D Zelda controls, probably the least interesting dungeon to me of those dungeons, and it just is something that I don't look forward to when replaying that game. There's no specific reason.
It's fair. I mean, you're allowed to not like it. That's the whole. But yeah. So other than that, the hate for the TMNT level, I think everybody who's ever played that game, that's their least favorite level of all time. If I had to guess,
that level is offensive.
Yeah. You guys have seen the speed run of that game, right?
I watched it after you said to watch it, and watching them get through that was like I wanted to knock my head against the wall because I did not want to. I never wanted to ever do that again.
Yeah, it was rough.
Because even the speed run and the people that know that game inside and out still almost die.
Mm-hmm.
Numerous times. And
just barely get to each bomb in time. And these people play this game every single day.
That's insane.
To train for these.
Yep.
And they still haven't figured out how to make that level tolerable.
Nope.
It's probably the second most complained about level in speedrunning. It's this one and the Battletoads, like Ski-Doo section or whatever that's called. It does have an actual name.
Yeah.
Cave Run or something like that.
The Speeder Run or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Those are the two I've always seen complaints about, that speedrunners are like, yeah, we don't know how to make this any more quicker or easier. We have not figured it out. Even Taz speed runs, it's just that level. I don't know what they were thinking. They were trying to put some tension in the game, I guess, with the timer, and then it's pretty bad. It's the one I would say 75 to 80% of people in our age range that played video games growing up will have a memory of that game.
For sure. Yeah, it's brutal. And not only that, when you are down, is it when you get down in health, does it start beeping, or does the timer beep? I can't remember. There's some awful sound that happens during that level on top of the stress of everything else.
Yeah, I remember we played this Retro Roulette a while back, and I remember you guys, I don't know if you had both played it previously. I think you had. And you were like, just wait. Just wait. You're going to have feelings about this game. And the controls, this, like, talking about going from something like Super Mario 64, where the swimming controls were great, and then going to that game where it was like you were trying to control float around everything that could kill you on a timer before you, like, no, offensive, horrible, the worst.
It was offensive. That's how bad it was.
Yes, it was offensive. Oh god.
But yeah, my other least favorite water level is Kingdom Hearts 2 Little Mermaid section. It's so stupid. Well, the Kingdom Hearts 1 is bad enough. The Kingdom Hearts 2 is like a rhythm game. That's not that the rhythm game is terrible. But swimming in Kingdom Hearts 1 is awful, and battling underwater is terrible. It's like the worst part of that game. It's one of those. It's one of those sections of the games where you just try to get through it as quickly as possible and never want to go back there. So yeah, if you guys, if anybody listening has played Kingdom Hearts and knows what I'm talking about, hit us up on Twitter and just agree with me, because I need someone to shake just nod along with me, because it's awful. Any other honorable mentions?
No.
Besides
really
Mario,
yeah.
the original Mario.
Yeah, and BioShock. And that's pretty much. I mean, I just have a overall, excuse me, an overall deep appreciation of water levels most of the time. Like for a second, I even liked the TMNT one until I realized it was terrible. But I always get excited when I see a water level. I'm like, oh yay! So
Until you realize that TMNT chose violence.
Yeah, they chose something. Remember, what about the Jungle Book, Mark? Wasn't there a cool waterfall level in that we kind of liked?
Yeah, but that was like completely underwater.
Yeah, but there's the water element was there. It was the main focus. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, but yeah, all water levels are great. Minus the one that we just talked about.
I don't remember. Was there a water level in Bionic Commando?
I didn't get far enough.
I didn't get far enough, but Jen
don't
beat
think there was a main water level. No.
That's weird.
I don't
you would think
so.
Well, I guess in a thing where you swing around, there's not really water. You don't really want it. My other honorable mention is any Sonic level where there's water.
I was just going to say, can we all come to an agreement that our adult anxiety comes from the Sonic losing his breath music?
Oh
my god, yeah. It was so bad. Scary.
Yep. Yeah. You can hear it in your head.
Yep.
You know exactly what we're talking about. And that bubble coming up is like the biggest sigh of relief ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, a game where you're supposed to go fast. Let's stick them in a water level. That's a great idea.
That's the one con of Sonic, is that only the first level is fast.
Yeah.
At least in the first Sonic. Sonic 2 is a lot better. Because we played Sonic 2. And
you almost beat. You got over halfway through that game.
That's right. On stream,
On stream.
Sonic 2 is 1,000 times better than Sonic 1.
Correct.
Come at me, comments. Come at me. Sonic 2 is the best Sonic game as far as I'm. But yeah, any Sonic game, any Sonic level where there's water is terrible. Even Sonic Adventure with the whale, because you're not even controlling that. But yeah, all right. Enough venting on this. We now know why Jen enjoys water levels. We've given you some good ones. They may bring you back from the dead on these on water levels. So check those water levels out if you have never played them, and let us know what you think about them. Luckily, the Retro Roulette game this week did not have a water level.
It was just surrounded by water.
It was just surrounded by water. There was no actual water level.
Yeah.
So for Retro Roulette this week, we played The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was a lot more fun than I remembered it being. I don't know. I guess Zelda's one of those games where once you learn where things are, it becomes a lot more fun, because you're not lost. So The Legend of Zelda is one of the first adventure games on the NES. Obviously, it's one of the biggest Nintendo franchises of all time at this point, but nobody knew it was going to be that when they released it in 1986. And a lot of people really love the whole Zelda series now, and a lot of people overlook this game. And that maybe not overlook, but maybe it's not their favorite. As you've heard previously from Mark. Mark, why don't you get it out of the way first? Because I'm sure you've got some thoughts on Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, which is going to disappoint people. I've never said in my conversations with Anne that I dislike this game. This game is really good. When you consider the time period it was released in and the limitations they have in the technology, which is the fact that you can only get 255 coins, and things like that. My only main gripe with this game is just the amount of enemies they sometimes put in a room. It can be frustrating, and the way that fairies don't fully heal you, and it becomes it really becomes like an old school like grinding RPG at times, where you have to go buy the blue potion so that if you get in a room where you start dying, that's the only way to get the full health once you've collected almost all the hearts. And if you run out of that potion and then you run out of money, you have to go back and grind for money and then, do all that stuff. That's really the only gripe. But then again, that's probably a limitation of the hardware they were working with, that they couldn't let you get $999 or rupees.
Well, yeah, there was a like 255 is the most.
It's an integer limit. Yeah.
Integers, right? It's the integer limit that you can go to.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but it is what it is.
That's really the only annoyance, and there's nothing the game designers could do about it.
Right.
The one thing that I did enjoy from I haven't played it in a long time, but just remembering where stuff was, and then just for the hell of it to get past things before this podcast, looking them up and going, oh crap, that's pretty cool. Is that this is the first game that sort of at least that became a mainstream hit. I'm sure there were probably some RPGs and stuff that did this, that just encouraged trial and error on things.
Yeah.
Like knowing which bush to burn, and especially the way the candle works. You go in, you try one bush, doesn't work, gotta go off screen, come back on. Try another bush, go off screen, come back on. And it taught a whole generation of video game players to just try everything. It becomes the staple of RPGs.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
And my main gripes between this one and Link to the Past, besides the obvious, as you go to 16-bit, there's more things you can do. They refine the controls, and you can shoot in 7. You can swing your sword in 8 directions instead of 4. Things like that. Is that Link to the Past was a little more forgiving in terms of not letting you get lost. Like this game is meant, like I said, it's meant for you to explore. So it gives you very vague hints, like to the northwest, by the water, you'll find this, and that's it, and without actually having the Nintendo Power map in front of you, you would have no idea, exactly where it is, unless if you sat and hand drawn the map, which a lot of people did back then. That's really my only main issues. This game's amazing. It's a trendsetter. It gets just about everything else right. I wish the boss fights were a little more interesting, but again, 8-bit NES. There's only so much you can do. You can have a 1-headed dragon and then a 3-headed dragon as an improvement on boss design. And then I don't know if I like the idea. Another thing where I feel Link to the Past is superior is the idea of the item in the dungeon is how you beat the dungeon. Not every item in the dungeons is required to beat that dungeon. Like what you get in Dungeon 1, you don't have to get the boomerang.
You don't have to get anything, really.
You don't have to get anything in there, to beat that dungeon. That's the only thing is that, and I guess it was their thing where you could go in any dungeon at any time, sort of mentality. Only certain ones were closed off because of you needed certain items to get to them. But for the most part, you could get into most of them with 3 hearts if you wanted to. So it's just that stuff. It's more quality of the life and preference for me. And I always think that, and it's the main argument I made with Ant was that I believe it's, if I'm going to sit somebody in front of a Zelda game to see if they like the concept of the game, the easiest one and shortest one to put them in front of is Link to the Past, because they will know pretty quickly if they like the concept of the game before you start getting them into the Ocarina of Time, which is a long game, or the original Legend of Zelda, which is a very unforgiving, frustrating game. And so that's why I would always start new players off at Link to the Past if they ask me, where I should start. I think the only thing that might change that opinion is Breath of the Wild's so open that you could just send a kid to do that, but then it's not the actual Zelda, that all the other games have followed. It's really, the thing I learned about playing this is that this game is great. I didn't get bored at any point playing it, which can be a problem with 8-bit NES games at times. And I didn't get frustrated. And yeah, I'm more interested to hear, I think Jenny has never played it before, her opinion, as someone who's really only beaten Link to the Past and, the 3D games. So.
Yeah. So when I first started playing this, I like Mark just said, I had never played this game before, and I played A Link to the Past, and I had feelings about that. So I was interested to see what I would think of this game. And obviously, the biggest annoyance to me right off the bat was the fact that there's no map. There's a big rectangle and a tiny little dot, and that's you and where you are in the world. And I started drawing out my own map because I was trying to experience this as someone who, obviously it came in the box with the game, right? The map.
Yeah.
So I
thought it was Nintendo Power. Yeah. For the map.
Let me just check.
Okay.
Tom will double check while you continue.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to experience it as someone would back then if they didn't have the map, essentially. Because looking at the map, I'll get to that. So I thought it was, obviously you get the sword right away, which is nice. I agree, Mark, the fact that you have limited range of swinging the sword. Because I had already played through A Link to the Past, that was pretty annoying to me. I learned very quickly through exploring, as you said as well, there are areas where there's just a ton of enemies. I do appreciate, obviously, that you can chuck your sword at them when you're at full health, which is nice. It's easier to clear out big enemies. And it still has the same mechanic where you can pretty much run through every area. You don't have to try to clear everybody out, which is nice. But there are areas where the difficulty in enemies, it goes nuts. It was very confusing to me to find my way and differentiate when I went into one area, what was different about that area from the last one I was in, where I would be like, okay, I remember where I came from after a while. You know what I mean? There was no easy ability for me to retrace my steps to where I came from. And right. I would just hope that I sort of remembered, which made me want to stick to the water edges. Which brings me to the most frustrating part of this game was the stupid Zora in the water shooting their whatever at me, the energy ball or whatever you call it. It was just, it was really difficult. It's a difficult game, I think. So I did this without the map. I went all the way up.
Real quick, the map was in the instruction manual. It's just said the overworld. There was no dungeon maps.
Okay.
That's it.
So go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so you could look at the map and see where you are, compared to your map in the game or your dot where you are on the world map. You could compare it there, but other than that, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of information.
Okay. So what I did was I just decided I wanted to kind of gauge how big the world was. So I kept going upwards as much as I could. And once you start getting into the mountains, I was confused at first. I was like, is there just am I stuck? Is this the final level up at the top of the map and it just keeps resetting me back onto the same level? Because I would go up and it would look the same once I got to the next level. But eventually I realized if you go up far enough, you get to, other things that are up there. And I think I came across the first dungeon that was somewhere up there. Which, if I'm remembering this correctly, I was not prepared for at all. I think I know I had obviously the sword. I think I had a potion at that point. I didn't have any heart containers. I was just wandering around because I really wanted to experience it as someone, who didn't have a map wood to see how, unplayable it could potentially be.
Yeah.
The
thing, if it was the first dungeon, you would have walked across a bridge across the water into where the dungeon was. If you didn't do that, then you went to one of the other dungeons first.
When I was watching Tom play through on Retro Roulette night, he went to a totally different dungeon than I had done the first one, so I probably did it out of order, recommended order.
Do. It just, as you found out.
Yes. It was not great. I think I got through like 2 rooms of that dungeon, I want to say. It does, and then like you'd hit enemies and they drop something in the mountain where you can't get it. It's like, really? I suck at this. Just give this to me. So I stopped playing it that way, and then I started playing again with a map that I found online in a walkthrough, and it was a much more positive experience. And then I was trying really hard not to actually follow a walkthrough where it's like, go here and then you'll get this, and then you should get this in this order kind of thing. Because I didn't do that with Link to the Past either. So I didn't want to do that with this game. But I feel like the more assistance I sought, the more I was enjoying the game. So, I mean, overall, if I had to do this on my own, even with the map and no walkthrough, it wasn't as fun to me as A Link to the Past was. And that game pissed me off so much. No offense, Mark. I could hear the first 3 notes of the starting song in that game, and I just go like, ugh, because it just brings me back to the struggle of beating that game.
You haven't played it enough.
Yeah, I know, clearly. But I would prefer to play A Link to the Past over this game, and that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there are a ton of people who would prefer to play this over A Link to the Past for whatever reason, maybe nostalgia or what have you. But I didn't hate it. I just needed much more assistance than relying on myself to sketch out a map or something. That was definitely not happening with me. I wasn't going to sit there and do that. That's not how I wanted to play. But overall, it was okay. It had the recognizable elements that I enjoyed, from A Link to the Past and what I enjoy from Zelda in general. So yeah, that's my really messy review on the game that we played. I just have mixed feelings on it, I guess, is the short answer.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have mixed feelings.
Yeah, right.
So I've played through this game a couple of times. I've never beat it. But there's like a list of things that is recommended that you do before you even like get started. And that's get all of this extra heart containers and the white sword and the blue ring, and all those things help tremendously as you're going through. And I went through and did all those things, and it made the game a much more fun experience because I wasn't dying every 5 seconds. It gives you, because the sword allows you to kill things twice as fast, and the tunic or the ring, the blue ring, allows you to take half as much damage. So it really helped because on stream I was stuck in, I think, the 3rd dungeon. But once I went and got all of those things off stream, the 3rd dungeon was like a cakewalk. It was way easier, and I was enjoying myself way more. I had a lot of fun with the game. It is fun to just walk around and try to find stuff on your own. But like the secrets, like you if you don't know where they are, you're not gonna find them. Yeah. And if you're at our age at this point, you're gonna want to walk through for those things, just because it could take hours to find all the secrets.
Oh, like it did.
Even when we were kids, someone would find one and like tell their friend, and and they would tell their friend and their friend, and that's how people found out about them. Or you had Nintendo Power or something that told you where they were. Like, there was no internet, so we all had to figure it out on our own. But now we have the ability to use those things, and I would rather just get all the stuff to help me out in the beginning, and then I'll play the game. Like, I'll just do whatever I want after that and explore and stuff, because those things are there to help you. So if what's the point in not using those resources? And that's right. That was my take. So basically, I buffed up Link as much as possible, and then I just went off and did 3 or 4 dungeons. I was like, all right, That's good enough. I've experienced enough. I do personally want to go back and beat the rest of the game. I think, what are there, 8 dungeons, Mark? Right?
9.
9. I do want to eventually go back and beat them all, but just because I would like to say I beat the game, because I've played it for so long, I might as well put in the extra effort and finish it.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things that are annoying. Like, if you want to save the game, you have to intentionally die.
Yeah.
And once you buff your character up enough, it takes forever for that to happen. So you have to just walk into an enemy over and over and over. I walk into the statues that come alive. Mark, what are those called?
Oh God,
I forget.
They have a name.
Yeah,
but...
they have a name, and I can never remember what it's called. But the statues that come to life when you bump into it, basically just go bump into one, and it'll just constantly walk into you, and that allows you to die quickly, and then you can save your game. Yeah, but that's like the only annoying thing to me is saving is. I'm pretty sure Link to the Past is the same way. You can't just save the game; you have to die, right?
No, you can save and quit.
You can save and quit.
Yep.
But you can't save and continue. You have to save and quit.
Yes.
The only way to save and continue is to die.
Well, no, you can reload the game real fast. It's not a problem, but the only issue with saving, which is a thing from that era, is that if you save and quit, you only can start in 3 locations.
Right.
In Legend of Zelda, you always start where you get the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There
no
is
matter what.
which.
Unless if you're in a dungeon.
Right.
Then when
if
you
you're
die,
in a dungeon, it'll put you right back.
Dungeon.
It'll put you right back in the dungeon, which is nice. I'm glad they do that. It puts you right outside the dungeon or right in the dungeon if you die there, which is it's nice, but at the same time it's annoying because they only give you half your life, which I guess makes sense. I don't know if that happens in Breath of the Wild. It may not.
No, you can just save. Breath of the Wild, if you don't hard save, has an auto save, and that's where you get sent back when you die.
No, I mean, when you die, do you have full health when you come back? I can't remember.
I don't think any of them ever did that. Link to the Past gives you a certain percentage of hearts. The only time you come back full is when you have 3 hearts.
Right.
I think this one does the same thing. It only gives you 3 when you come back, or a percentage or something.
This one only gives you either 3 or 4. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
But I guess that's fine. I can deal with that. But it's annoying to try to get all those hearts back.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this game.
Yeah. Because a lot of times, the enemies just don't drop anything. Or they only drop rupees. Or they only, or trying to get bombs in this game is incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a game of its time. It worked well at the time, and they built off of it. I mean, it's definitely... I think it's aged better than a lot of adventure style games from that era.
That's for sure.
But like I said, the secret stuff is annoying, and you are going to need some sort of guide to tell you where all of these secrets are. But if you just want to play through the game and want a challenge, I think it's perfectly fine to load it up and play today. I don't see a problem with that. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, the only place I got stuck in this was right before getting the flute. You have to kill that room full of blue knights in Castle 5. I don't know if you got in there yet. And they're just as annoying as the regular knights, except they have more health. And it takes a little bit longer to kill them. Eventually, if you have enough bombs, you can just bomb. The only thing I never tried was I'm going to assume arrows work really well, because I can't think of another reason to use arrows in that game at all. Outside of maybe it's a way to kill Ganon like it is in every game.
Yeah.
But
where I was, I had not run into an enemy where I needed an arrow at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that was the way that people are screaming at home right now going, if you did arrows, it's only one shot. But yeah, it's essentially everything Tom was saying is correct with this. But yeah, it's just this game requires patience, and if you don't have that, you're not going to get through half of it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely one of those games where you need some time. And the beauty of the game though is that you can save it and come back to it. That's the nice thing about it. It's not like Bionic Commando, where you have to sit there for 5 hours or 6 hours and play all the way through a game.
Yeah, that was the saving grace, honestly, for me with this game, is the fact that you could save and come back.
Yeah, me too. Because I was able to like stop and then go back whenever I wanted to, and not have to lose all that progress. Because getting all the stuff is what takes the longest.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it's a classic. You can't really go wrong. So let's get some scores. Mark, what do you give this game?
Surprisingly, a 5 out of 5.
Whoa.
Wow, look at Mark.
Is that our first 5 out of 5?
There's only a few games that I've ever played that would get perfect scores from me.
Well,
and this has always been one of them.
Did we play Final Fantasy VI? We must have.
So I think I gave that a 5.
I'm pretty sure you gave that a 5.
Was that this year?
Final Fantasy VI. Yes. If I didn't, then that was an oversight, because that is one of the other games that I consider pretty perfect. Yeah. They knocked it out of the park with this game and Link to the Past, after the misstep of 2. Link's Awakening is a little bit lesser quality than these games, just because of the limitations of the Game Boy. But those 8-bit and 16-bit Zeldas, not named Zelda 2, all pretty much play the same, play well. You can argue the different powers and stories are terrible, depending on if you like Oracle Seasons and all that stuff. But this game's a classic. There's a reason why a lot of people put it as the number 1 game of all time in some list. It basically perfected a genre that's been around for a while. The adventure game, and added a little action to it, and just made it fun. It's the only thing that's frustrating now is that everything's gotten better in terms of controls and quality of life stuff. That's really the only frustrating part. But I don't feel you can dock a game for that. They could only work with what they had back then, and I think they got so much out of what they could do with this technology that I think it is truly a triumph of the NES.
Yeah, for an 8-bit machine to do what it did is pretty incredible.
Yeah, the only other thing that's more impressive with what they did with an 8-bit machine is Mario 3.
Yep.
That's the only one I see is more impressive than this. The first Mario's started a genre. There was never a platformer. Maybe I'm talking my ass a little bit. Maybe somebody will go, well, no, on the Atari 5200 there was the.
There was the hell was it called? Pitfall, but it's not really the same.
Yeah, but people know what I mean. Or if you want to say Mario Bros was technically slightly a platformer, but yeah, it's just amazing what they were able to do with this. And still, hell, it's 35 years later. And people are getting excited when an HD release of the worst game of the series comes out. And, that's a triumph in game making, and it'll be a shame when we eventually do lose Miyamoto, to the cruel fate of time here, because there's no creator that has been able to get longevity and have such a good track record for doing so, as he has. And it's just kind of amazing.
Yep, I totally agree. How about you, Jen?
I am going to give this game a lower score, just because personally, like you said, patience is super important in this game, and I didn't have the patience to continue to go through it. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because there were parts of the game that I did enjoy and that I felt like were done really well. But overall, I just personally didn't enjoy it as much as I did A Link to the Past, which I think I'm closest comparing it to. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for me.
Okay. I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, there's a couple of gripes, but nothing that I can really knock it down a full point for. The music's great. The graphics for an 8-bit machine are great, and just the amount of stuff you can do. There's just a ton of stuff you can do in this game, and it's a great game. It's a classic. I could say all of those things over and over, but unless you've played the game, you need to go out and do so. I think like if you're a Zelda fan and you've never played the original, I feel like you should go play it. And it's easily you're able to play it on all kinds of things. It's on Switch Online. It's on the NES Classic. It's on every Nintendo console after the NES via Virtual Console. So find a way to play it. It's always cheap, and it's it's a good 8-hour thing that you can choose to either go with a guide or go it yourself and just enjoy. But yeah, overall great game. Go play it if you haven't played it. All right, it is time to spin the wheel. Mark, I don't know how you do it. We're playing Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES.
Wow. We're just psychic. It's really what it is.
I don't know how we do it, but
We're
yeah,
gypsies.
we are. So yeah, if you've never seen anybody play Super Mario Brothers 3 or have never played it, I hope you're prepared because, I'm also debating on whether I should play. I have a hacked version with a save function because I don't want to use warps when I'm playing. So we'll see. I'll see how I feel. I'll also see how good I am that day on Monday when I'm playing this. But Super Mario Bros. 3, another classic. We're gonna give it a whirl here, and I hope everybody plays along at home and let us know what you think of Super Mario Bros. 3.
Do we have to watch The Wizard?
You don't have to watch The Wizard, but
okay,
it could help.
Good.
So yeah, I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this episode. Mark, do you want to let everybody know about our family of podcasts?
Yeah, so we have our D&D podcast, Stranger Damies, airs every other Wednesday. We stream our sessions live at twitch.tv/GameBallPod. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Stranger Damies. And then we have our movie podcast, They Call This Movie, airs every Thursday. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Main Damie. TheMainDamie.com is where all of our podcasts live, and any writing and special events we do post up on there. So it's a good one-stop shop for everything we do here. And for They Call This Movie, do make sure you go download us on Spreaker as well. And Jen, what's the streaming schedules?
Yeah, so we've had some changes recently in our streaming schedules. So we'll start with Mondays. It's either going to be Retro Roulette with Tom, where he plays through our newest Retro Roulette game and gives his initial thoughts on the game. Or it's going to be Retro Mondays, where he plays through usually a Japanese RPG. Right now we're still going through Suikoden. And we'll let you know what he's going to do after that when Suikoden comes to an end, which is probably soon, I think, sadly, for Tom.
We're thinking 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, we'll so some more new stuff coming soon. Tuesdays are always a day off for us on Twitch. Wednesdays, we have been playing Apex, but we have been discussing potentially moving to another game where the 3 of us will get together and play. So that's TBD. Thursdays is Paper Markio, where Mark plays through Paper Mario. And when that wraps up, we have something else in the works as well. Fridays is currently us live streaming Dungeons and Dragons with our podcast Stranger Damies that Mark just mentioned. That will be coming to an end. We're not going to officially say when, but things are changing here. So enjoy us while you can. We live stream on Twitch every other Friday. And alternating with that is when we usually record these podcasts. So it'll be either us recording our podcast or us streaming on Twitch on Fridays. Then Saturdays is Mass Effect with Mark. I almost called it Mark Effect. It's kind of cool. Just saying, it's kind of cool. The last few Saturdays, it's kind of up in the air right now, I guess, depending on weekend plans, because it is the summer and everything is reopening and we're trying to get back to normal. So we will let you know. Basically anything I'm saying TBD about, just check our Twitter page. It's just at GameBallPod on Twitter. That's the best place to know when we're going live and what we're going to be playing. And then Sundays is kind of TBD as well, pretty much because of the same reasons. Usually we have Dan come on and he plays through Breath of the Wild, but it's been kind of busy the last few weekends. So we'll let you know as well when that's up and running. But just, again, check our Twitter. That would be the best place to find out what we're doing over here.
Awesome. Also, I want to clarify, Stranger Damies isn't ending.
We're not going
to stream it anymore.
Yes, the stream is ending, not Stranger Damies.
All right. So before we get out of here, I want to mention that we're an affiliate of Stone Age Gamer. Do you have any need for any retro console accessories, cables, power supplies, flash carts, anything you can think of, head on over there via the link in the description. And anytime you use that link to purchase something, it gives us a little kickback anytime you use it. And it allows us to make these podcasts and our streams better for you guys. So any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for joining us on this episode. I hope everyone is doing well. Stay safe. And for Mark and Jenny, I'm Tom, and we will catch you guys in the next one.